Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You feel it as a tap on the shoulder when no one is there. You think of a friend you have not spoken to in years, and the screen lights up with their name. You ask a question in the quiet of your car, and the same song you heard at a crossroads months ago glides onto the radio, landing on the exact lyric you needed. A feather waits on the same step 3 mornings in a row. The street poster that meant nothing yesterday appears again on a bus, then again on your feed. The clock catches you at 11:11, then 2:22, as if time itself is trying to wink. These moments are small, but the pressure is not. They slip past your guard. They interrupt the routine with a hush that feels like someone saying your name from another room. Your day worships the predictable, calendar blocks, delivery windows, traffic patterns. You breathe inside a grid and call it safety. Your ego loves this grid because in the grid you are manager and judge, measuring cause against effect and filing tidy reports, but your psyche does not live by grid lines. It moves like weather, it speaks in images, not spreadsheets. It reaches for you with symbols the way a mother reaches for her child, directly without debate. The conscious mind says, prove it. The deeper self says, feel it. Cause and effect is a useful tool for building bridges and paying taxes, but it is a poor translator for the night language of the soul. Meaning is how the psyche speaks. Symbols are its verbs. When coincidence arrives carrying heat, the message is not about odds. The message is about you. So the psyche stages a scene. It threads your question to a lyric, your fear to a number, your longing to an encounter in the produce aisle. You can call it coincidence, and sometimes it is. But when the air thickens and time feels round instead of straight, pay attention. This is not a glitch in probability. This is contact with a layer of life that does not push like a billiard ball. It invites like a mirror. It does not shove you forward. It turns you inward toward the image that wants to be known. The uncanny arrives not to predict the future, but to restore conversation with what you have left behind in yourself. Here is the painful truth. Your life is speaking, but you do not like its language. You prefer answers that do not require you to change. You prefer reasons that let you keep your pace. Synchronicity returns because you keep turning away. It repeats the symbol you refuse to enter. It surfaces the name you are afraid to call. It puts your loss on the radio because you have not let yourself grieve. It puts your courage on a billboard because you have not begun the work you secretly want. It keeps showing you the closed door not to mock you but to teach you how to knock or how to build your own. Think of the relationship you chase, because a dozen little signs seem to bless it. The butterflies, the instant messages, the shared birthday, then the same old silence arrives after every fight, and the same loneliness sits between you like a third person. The signs were not promising a fairy tale. They were asking you to meet your hunger with honesty. I want partnership, not performance. Think of the job you cannot leave, though the number on the clock repeats at the hour you dread. The sign is not promising a windfall. It is asking for a truth you keep postponing. My talent is wilting here. Think of the habit that harms you, the one you explain away each weekend. The repeated symbol is not a curse. It is a lantern on the path you do not want to see. This is not punishment. It is guidance. The unconscious is not trying to embarrass you. It is trying to include you. When you refuse your grief, it sends reminders dressed in music, numbers, and street names that will not be ignored. When you refuse your desire, it sends people who carry the fire you left behind, so you cannot pretend you do not see it. When you refuse your fear, it sends the same challenge from a gentler angle again and again, until you can hold steady and say yes without shaking. You are not being haunted by chance. You are being courted by meaning. Open the door, ask the visitor to sit. Ask what it wants you to see that statistics cannot show. Let the grid loosen for a moment. Let the symbol climb down from the billboard and stand in your kitchen. Listen until the air changes, then answer with one honest step. Listen to the knock and answer. The persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself and others think one is. You learned early how to wear the polite mask. You practiced the smile that says you are fine. You perfected the neutral email, the competent meeting face, the profile photo where light forgives the tiredness in your eyes. You stitched together a public self from traits that win approval, reliable, agreeable, productive, and you wore it long enough that it began to feel like skin. The mask is useful. It lets you move through crowded rooms without bleeding, but when it hardens, it narrows what you are allowed to feel and what you are allowed to know. It filters the world like tinted glass. A symbol on a street sign that would have jolted you last year barely registers now. A sudden memory rises, and you clear your throat until it sinks. The mask says, stay presentable, stay predictable, and so you do, even when a coincidence knocks that feels too specific to ignore. Your childhood nickname on a passing bus, the same book title in two different hands, the exact phrase your therapist said yesterday printed on a coffee sleeve this morning. The mask cannot translate that language. It only polishes the surface and asks for a smile. False comfort arrives as the religion of chance. Reducing everything to statistics is soothing because numbers do not ask you to change. If a song returns at the one line you are afraid to hear, probability can tuck you back into bed. If a name echoes through a day like a bell, you can call it noise and keep marching. Randomness is painless because it makes you a passenger. You can bless a win, curse a loss, and avoid confession. But anesthetic dulls meaning as surely as it dulls pain. When you name every tremor coincidence, you never learn where the fault line runs. Consider the morning you asked, under your breath, whether you should leave the job that flattens you. At lunch, the office playlist served the same old song from the year you dared to dream, and the line about starting over hit so cleanly you had to pretend to cough. Pure probability, you told yourself. Later, an old teacher emailed for the first time in a decade, asking how your writing was going. Odds and ends, you said, and deleted it. It is easier to bow to chance than to admit that something in you is knocking from the inside. Statistics explain the weather. They cannot tell you why your eyes fill with heat. Chance will never argue with your avoidance. Meaning will. Then comes the sweetest illusion, false love, projection dressed as destiny. You meet someone and the lights line up. You share an odd detail, a childhood town, a scar in the same place. You talk for hours and the room tingles with that charged feeling you call fate. You do not notice that the other person is carrying qualities you exiled in yourself. Your lost boldness walks into the cafe wearing their jacket. Your disowned gentleness looks back at you through their eyes. Your unspent creativity arrives in the way they speak about their work, and your chest burns with recognition. The signs multiply, the same song in both your playlists, the same street on your commute, the same number flickering on restaurant receipts. You take it as a guarantee. You tell your friends, this must be meant to be. But projection is not a crime, it is a bridge. The psyche uses the other to return you to yourself. If you cling to the bridge as if it were the destination, you will miss the crossing. You will ask the person to carry your unlived life and call it romance. Then, when they cannot hold the weight, you will name it betrayal and miss the instruction entirely. The real message was not, this is the one. The message was, this is the part of you asking to come home. The psyche corrects what the mask distorts. When an illusion grows too costly, synchronicity intrudes like a firm, compassionate hand on your shoulder. If you are drifting from your vocation, messages cluster around the road you keep ignoring. An old mentor writes without warning. A podcast repeats a sentence from your forgotten notebook. A child asks the exact question you stopped asking yourself. If you are colluding with a lie, the same word appears on billboards and receipts until your mouth tastes metallic when you speak it. If you cling to a relationship that keeps you small, the city stages tiny interventions. Two strangers at adjacent tables use your secret phrase and then fall silent, as if they handed you a note in public. This is not cheap magic. It is deep economy. The self wastes nothing. It threads meaning through the fabric of your day because you will not sit down to read a book about your life. The signs are not toys. They are instruments tuning you to a clearer key. Coincidence becomes compass the moment you allow it to ask something of you. Tell the truth. Stop performing. Pick up the work you keep postponing. Let what is dead be dead. So loosen the mask and let your face breathe. When the reflex is to dismiss, pause and feel. When the impulse is to analyze, ask one living question. If this were meaningful, what would it ask of me now? Then take a small step that matches the answer. Send the message you keep drafting and deleting. Enroll in the night class your envy keeps circling. Tell the truth that makes your voice shake, and your shoulders finally drop. Sit with the grief you keep scheduling for later, and let it rain today. Call the friend whose name will not stop appearing and say the sentence you have avoided for a year. You are not required to become a mystic, you are invited to become honest. The mask will beg you to stay presentable. Chance will offer you a nap, but meaning knocks with your real name. It does not want your performance, it wants your participation. The moment you let that participation shape your choices, the world does not become easier, but it becomes legible. You stop chasing signs like a gambler and start welcoming them like a guide. And the guide keeps its promise. Fewer detours, cleaner refusals, a life that fits like your own face. Let the mask fall, let meaning speak. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. Your shadow is everything you are but refuse to be. Not a monster, not a diagnosis, just the parts of you you learned to hide, to keep belonging. The laugh that was too loud, the anger that was too much, the softness that earned an eye roll. You locked them in the basement and taught yourself to live upstairs. The nice one with 1,000 swallowed words carries buried rage. The rational achiever who never cries is starving for tenderness. The charming friend who always performs is terrified to stop and be seen as ordinary. The shadow is not evil, it is exiled life. You didn't throw these qualities away, you put them out of sight. Yet they never stopped breathing. They grew strong in the dark and learned how to move your hands when you aren't looking. Complexes set the trap. A complex is an emotional knot tied in an early storm. Abandonment, humiliation, neglect. It contains a charge, a handful of images, and a looping sentence. When a voice, a smell, a glance matches the old scene, the knot tightens and the present blurs with the past. You react bigger than the moment because another moment has entered the room. Picture a child waiting at school pickup as the light fades and nobody comes. Years later, your partner is late and your chest sprints back into that cold parking lot. The inner headline shouts, "I'm not worth showing up for," and a small delay feels like a verdict. Or imagine the kid whose feelings were mocked around the dinner table. As an adult, you learn to be reasonable, which really means you numb out. When your friend shares good news, a thin grin appears, but inside a dull stone rolls in your stomach. Careful, don't feel too much. Feeling is weakness. The knot pulls your body, your tone, your timing. You tell yourself you're choosing, but the script is older than your memory. Synchronicity works like a spotlight on these hidden stage directions. Different people, same pattern. A colleague wins the credit while you smile and say, "No worries," and your throat burns later in the car. A cousin calls only when she needs money. You wire it, then resent the world. A date mirrors your childhood silence so precisely that you laugh at a joke that hurts you and lose your voice for the rest of the night. The outer world keeps setting the same table because the inner script hasn't changed. You think of leaving a draining group chat, and a meme appears using your childhood nickname, so you stay. You plan to ask for a raise, and the elevator music plays the breakup song from years ago. You get off one floor early and promise yourself next quarter. You vow to stop rescuing, then your feed serves 3 crisis posts from acquaintances you hardly know, and your fingers start typing before you can breathe. The signal isn't prophecy, it's precision. It gathers around your fault lines, not to shame you but to point. Here, it whispers. Here is the place you still abandon yourself. Inside attraction and conflict, Anima and Animus add their colors. Anima is your inner feminine feeling, relatedness, depth. Animus is your inner masculine, word, clarity, direction. When either is ignored or inflated, love becomes a mirror maze. If your inner feminine is starved, you chase partners who feel oceanic, mysterious, soulful, unreachable, and you call the ache love. They hold the tenderness you banished, so you drink from them like a well and then blame them when you're still thirsty. If your inner masculine is brittle, you cling to certainty, correct everyone, and confuse dominance with strength. You project your missing steadiness onto someone decisive and then resent them for controlling you. 2 people meet, but 4 figures dance. Your Anima and Animus, theirs too. Destiny gets blamed for what imbalance invites. The signs were not scheduling a wedding. They were introducing you to the qualities you long to reclaim, your softness without collapse, your firmness without cruelty. When you take back these inner figures, Attraction loosens from compulsion and moves toward relation. The rule you don't know you follow is simple and cruel. What you refuse to feel, you will be forced to live. Refuse anger, live resentment. Refuse grief, live numb. Refuse desire, live orbiting those who burn for what you buried. Life starts with soft lessons, a quiet Sunday sadness, a small misalignment at work, a conversation that leaves you hollow. Ignore them and the lesson returns louder. The job that drains you becomes a layoff. The friend you keep rescuing becomes a financial wreck you cannot fix. The romance that promised rescue becomes a cage where you forget your name. We call it bad luck. Often it is unpaid feeling collecting debt. So you begin by naming, without shame, what the shadow holds. I am angry. I am lonely. I want more. You speak these lines not to accuse anyone, but to include yourself. Then you trace the knot. Where did this tighten? What face appears when the heat rises? What sentence do you always hear? Write it down. Note the images that travel with it. The hallway light, the ticking clock, the laughter behind a door. These are not trivia. They are coordinates. Next, watch for the spotlight. Where does the world keep reenacting the same scene? The meeting, the date, the family call, the silence after. When the scene returns, let a different line leave your mouth. If you always apologize first, wait and breathe. If you always swallow, try one true sentence. I did that work. I'm not available for that role anymore. I need an answer by Friday. If you always run, stay 10 minutes longer. If you always rescue, put the phone down and walk around the block. Small moves break old gravity. In that space, invite Anima and Animus to balance. Let feeling inform direction. A quiet morning before the screen, a long walk to listen to last night's dream. A call you make because your chest warmed, not because your list said network. Let direction protect feeling. A calendar block that honors grief. A bedtime that shelters creativity. A boundary that defends tenderness from noise. Practice the missing quality daily, not just when romance stirs it. Write the gentle message you want to receive. Set the firm limit you hope someone else will set for you. Stop worshiping the person who carried your missing piece and begin cultivating it yourself. You'll notice attraction shift, less compulsion, more clarity, fewer bargains, more straight talk. You'll notice conflict soften, not because people change, but because you are no longer asking them to hold your unlived life. This is the quiet geometry of change. When you make a home for what you exiled, life stops needing to shout. Patterns loosen. Chance loses its chokehold. You feel heat and recognize it as signal, not threat. The mirror stops accusing and starts teaching. Synchronicities still arrive, but they no longer herd you, they help you navigate. You are no longer chosen by your wounds. You are choosing with them at the table. The shadow becomes a partner, not a saboteur, bringing strength to anger, depth to grief, dignity to desire. And the world, which once seemed to conspire against you, begins to feel strangely honest. It wasn't punishing you, it was inviting you again and again to come back for yourself. Feel it, name it, choose with it. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. You hear the crack before you see it. A hairline fracture runs across the mask you wore so well. The efficient professional, the loyal partner, the reliable one who never wavers. The job that once felt like a ladder now presses like a low ceiling. The air beneath it grows thin. The relationship that seemed meant to be keeps asking you to shrink, and your own silence wakes you at 3 a.m. Meanwhile, the same symbol stalks your days, a bird tapping a locked window, the word threshold on street signs, a clock that lands on 11:11, the moment you whisper a question. Synchronicities crowd in like insistent knocks. You answer with a smile, with caffeine, with calendar blocks. Yet the knocks grow louder. The persona that protected you can no longer carry the weight of what wants to live. Then the storm arrives. Emotions turn the sky, the color of iron. Disbelief comes first. I'm not that person. I don't leave. I don't break. You speak firmly to yourself, as if tone could fix truth, but your hands tremble when a simple question is asked. Shame follows like a cold shadow. I failed. I fooled everyone. I wasted years. You replay scenes from last winter, last week, the last hour, searching for the exact turn where you might have saved the costume. Terror rises behind the shame. Without this role, who am I? The mind runs disaster drills. You picture the empty desk, the quiet apartment, the blank weekend no one asks to share. Your body tightens to outrun the feeling, but the feeling is already inside, and it wants to be named. You try to negotiate with the sky. A weekend away, a new planner, another inspirational podcast. You promise yourself you will be grateful, disciplined, fine. But what is happening will not yield to hacks. You have entered the desert of not knowing. You are no longer who you were, and not yet who you will be. Landmarks vanish. The compass spins. The questions get big and simple. What is true? What matters? Who am I without applause? In the desert, time lengthens. You sit in your car after work and feel evening pour around you like sand, quiet, indifferent, endless. Friends invite you out. You decline and can't explain why. You scroll and feel drier with every flick of the thumb. The desert is harsh, but it is honest. Here the old stories lose their grip, and the new story has not learned your name. In this stripped place, you begin to feel a pressure that is not cruel. Around the coincidences there is a charge, a faint halo of mentness that isn't about prediction or control. A book falls open to the sentence you underlined years ago and forgot you loved. A stranger uses the exact phrase your grandmother spoke when she wanted you to be brave. You ask a question on a walk, and the air answers, not with thunder, but with an inner yes so clean it rings in your ribs. This is numinous pressure, the quiet gravity of meaning drawing your scattered pieces into an arrangement you do not yet recognize. It does not boss you, it orients you. It is the difference between being pushed by fear and being pulled by truth. You do not need a miracle, you need to follow the pull. Yet there is a cost to refusal. Resist the reorganization and pain hardens into fate. Insist on the old name, the old chair, the old rhythm, and the fabric will keep tearing. The body protests with symptoms you treat one by one while the cause goes untouched. Migraines, heartburns, sleeplessness that no lavender can soothe. You overwork to stay valuable, overgive to stay loved, overexplain to stay forgiven. The storm circles back, the desert stretches longer, the numinous dims behind constant noise. This is not punishment. It is the physics of psyche. When the inner order wants to change and you will not move, pressure builds until something breaks on your behalf. Better to bend willingly than to be snapped by your own avoidance. So choose willingness, even if it is clumsy and small. Let the persona crack and show the skin beneath. Call this collapse by its truer name, reordering. The mask did not fail. It finished its job. It carried you across a season. Now a different face is required. One that can feel and choose at the same time. When the job feels meaningless, don't only doom scroll, sketch a map of a meaningful day and do one square before noon. When the romance drains you, stop reading tea leaves and say the plain thing. I want reciprocity. I want growth. When the symbol returns the trapped bird, the repeating number answer with an embodied act. Open a window, make the call, cancel the commitment that keeps you small. Meaning does not mature without movement. Take a step that rhymes with the message. Give the affective storm a container. Name each wave as it rises: disbelief, shame, terror, anger, grief. Speak to them like weather, not enemies. You may pass. Write the letter you will never send to the role that is dying. Thank it for protecting you, then set it down. Place a simple altar of attention, a stone in your pocket, a sentence on your wall, a journal beside your bed to catch the dreams that come when the ego is sleeping. Ask for help where your courage flickers. Therapy, a wise friend, a group that tells the truth without spectacle. Practice a steadier body, feet on the floor, breath low and wide, so the storm has somewhere to land without knocking you flat. When impatience claws at your throat, remember the self moves on body time, not algorithm time. Growth ripens by weather, not by will alone. You are not broken, you are between stories. The first story taught you to survive. It prized applause and avoided shame. The second invites you to live. It prizes truth and tolerates discomfort. The crack is not an ending, it is an aperture. The storm is not a verdict, it is rain on hard ground. The desert is not punishment, it is an uncluttered horizon. And the numinous is not superstition, it is the weight of meaning returning to claim its seat at your table. Let the old room empty, Let the new room echo. Walk slowly through the doorway that keeps appearing. If your hands shake, let them. If tears come, let them. The psyche does not ask you to be fearless. It asks you to be honest. When the next coincidence taps your shoulder, don't demand proof, ask for alignment. What small, real act would honor this message in the world of bodies and bills? Do that, then do the next thing that rhymes with it. Say the sentence that lets the trap bird out of your throat. Put your hands on the work that makes you bright, and let the clock say what it will. Tell the person you love what is changing, and do not apologize for becoming more alive. The persona will try to bargain. Thank it for its service, and keep moving. The storm will still visit, but you will recognize its purpose. The desert will still stretch, but you will trust its horizon, and the numinous will keep its quiet promise. Fewer compulsions, clearer choices, a center that holds even when the outer form dissolves. Let what cracks, crack, let what seps, true hold. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, there love is lacking. You called it love because the light was bright and the signs were loud. Their name kept appearing. The same song followed you from car to cafe to grocery aisle. A number repeated on receipts and clocks. Fate, you said. But look closer at the shape of your need, fusion says. Complete me, relation says. Meet me. In fusion, you lean on the other like a crutch, and the crutch always breaks. In relation, you stand on your own feet and hold hands because you want to, not because you will fall without them. Fusion asks the other to be your missing rib, your answer key, your cure for loneliness. Relation asks, who are you really? And waits for an honest reply. The signs may have pointed you toward a person, but their deeper aim was to point you through the person toward the piece of yourself you keep delegating away. Think about the conversations you avoided. Fusion edits truth to keep the bond intact. Small lies, swallowed needs, a smile that trembles. Relation makes truth a living practice. The test is simple. Does this connection deepen honesty? If you can say, I'm afraid of losing myself here, and the room gets kinder, you are in a field where love can breathe. If you must act smaller to stay adored, that is not love, that is stagecraft. Next, ask about growth. Does this relationship widen your life, or does it fence you into a charming corner? If you start projects you used to only dream about, if you sleep better because your nervous system trusts the ground, you are near love. If your energy shrinks, if you apologize for your own light, you are near something else. A contract signed by fear and reciprocity, not scorekeeping, but shared responsibility for the third thing between you. When conflict arrives, do both of you carry your side of the bridge? If one walks across while the other refuses to step, the bridge becomes a leash. Love does not pull, it invites. Ask the question that melts confusion. What quality in me is this person calling forth? Perhaps it is courage. You felt it as a thrum in your chest the first time they challenged your self-doubt. The synchronicities weren't promises of permanent union. They were arrows toward your sleeping bravery or tenderness. You were trained to be efficient, not soft, and then someone laughed with their whole body, and you remembered the ocean inside your ribs. The clock's repeating numbers weren't proposing marriage. They were timing your return to gentleness or creativity. You kept saying you were not the artistic type, and then you met someone who builds worlds out of scraps. Streets started handing you paint store flyers, and a friend gifted a sketchbook without knowing why. It was never about copying their life. It was about reclaiming yours. When you treat the other as a symbol, you stop worshiping them as a savior. You thank them as a messenger and do the work yourself. Modern life confuses attention with affection, intensity with intimacy. Text chains hum at midnight, playlists merge, locations share, fusion loves the blur. Relation keeps clean edges. It says, I want to know you, not consume you. It says, I will not make your nervous system my hobby. You will know the difference by how your body responds. Fusion spikes, crashes, begs for more signal. Relation steadies, deepens, makes silence friendly. Fusion makes you check the door every minute to see if they are still there. Relation lets you leave the room and trust the bond will still be breathing when you return. So reframe the story you told yourself. It was never love when you both colluded to maintain a fantasy. It was safety dressed as destiny. It was projection wearing perfume. You saw your unlived life in them and tried to keep them like a relic. The self used synchronicity like a highlighter, so you could not miss the lesson. That is grace, not cruelty. Grace is the universe willing to repeat the class until you learn not to punish, but to free. The next time the signs cluster, ask for the deeper meaning. What inside me wants to wake up? Then take a small action aligned with that quality that does not require the other to change. If the symbol is courage, have a hard conversation you keep avoiding. If it is tenderness, schedule a slow evening and let yourself cry. If it is creativity, block 1 hour this week and begin. Love that does not depend on a specific person is love you can carry anywhere. This does not mean you must leave. It means you must see. Some relationships survive the reframe and grow clean because both of you prefer truth to myth. Others soften, bless each other, and end. In either case, gratitude keeps the psyche unclogged. Bless the lesson, not the fantasy. Thank the encounter for showing you what you disowned. Your voice, your warmth, your art, your pace. If you parted, you can honor the threshold without dragging chains of bitterness. Bitterness is just love that stayed too long in a closed room. Open a window, let some air in, let the story be what it was. A bridge that helped you cross a river. Stand now in the life that is yours. Practice relation daily, clear words, warm eyes, boundaries that protect the heart instead of punishing it. Risk telling the truth a little earlier than usual. Notice how your body settles when you choose reciprocity over rescue, curiosity over control. When another sign arrives, a name, a lyric, a number, don't chase it like a gambler. Welcome it like a teacher. Ask what it asks of you, then answer in the world of actions. Love is not a trance. Love is a steady flame that needs air, fuel, and honest tending. It will not complete you, it will meet you, and when you meet it back, you will recognize yourself in its light. I choose relation over fusion, truth over trance. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Tonight begins simple. Put a notebook and a pen by your bed. Set your phone to airplane mode and tell your mind, like a friend, whatever you show me, I'll write. When you wake at dawn at 3 a.m., after a nap, catch the dream before it drifts. Write quickly, without polish. Fragments are enough. The subway with no driver, the kitchen flooded with blue light, the fox trotting across a school hallway. Give each dream a title that feels true in your body. The key I wouldn't touch. The room with 2 doors, the bridge that wobbled. Underline recurring images over the week. Ask one question, always the same, where does this live in me? If a locked door keeps appearing, where in your day do you feel shut out? Work, love, courage. If an ocean keeps carrying you and scaring you, where are you afraid of depth? Grief, intimacy, creativity. Dream work is a nightly briefing from the part of you that does not speak in bullet points. Listen for heat, respect small details. The color of the coat, the angle of the sun, the way the elevator refuses to close. These are precise, not random. The point is not to solve the dream, it is to let the dream solve you, one truthful step at a time. Now, give the symbol a chair. Active imagination is not analysis, it is relationship. Sit quietly where you will not be interrupted. Close your eyes and recall one charged image, a fox, an ocean, a locked door, a child at the end of a hall. Breathe until the image brightens. On paper, greet it like a guest. Hello, fox. Ask a plain question. Why are you here? Then write its reply without censoring. Even if it surprises or embarrasses you, let the fox say, I am your cunning, you keep calling me manipulation. Let the ocean say, I hold your grief, you keep calling me overwhelm. Let the door say, I am your boundary, you keep calling me rejection. When the dialogue slows, thank the figure and close the encounter as you would end a respectful visit. If the image refuses to speak, try drawing it or moving your body as it would move. The goal is not to dominate the symbol. The goal is to learn its grammar. Over time, these conversations change your choices. You stop performing wisdom and start negotiating honestly with the forces inside you. Build a daily bridge between outer coincidence and inner material with shadow journaling. Use 3 columns. In the first, write trigger/event and capture the raw scene. Boss skimmed my report. Friend canceled again. Elevator stopped at the wrong floor. In the second, write emotion, body heat, and track what flared, tight jaw, clenched hands, hot face, hollow chest. Be specific and brief. In the third, write what part of me speaks, and name the figure in plain language: the abandoned one, the critic, the over-responsible mother, the kid who wants out. End with one line of agency. What one small act honors this part without letting it steer? Maybe it's clarifying a deadline, asking for what you want in one sentence, or taking a walk before replying. This practice does not fix your life in a day. It gives your life a steering wheel, one turn at a time. Ritual is how meaning becomes matter. Choose a tiny, embodied act that honors a recurring sign. If pebbles keep showing up in odd places, place a smooth stone on your desk. When you hesitate, touch it and say, one honest step. If water themes flood your dreams, take a weekly walk by a river, or fill a bowl on your table and sit beside it for 5 silent minutes. If a locked door follows you, install a simple hook on your front door and practice closing it gently when you say no. Write the letter you keep avoiding, not to send but to free your tongue. These are not superstitions, they are anchors. They train the nervous system to associate symbol with action, not just thought. Meaning that stays mental becomes smoke. Meaning that touches the hand becomes a handle. 2 outward tests will tell you if integration is real: boundaries and courage. Today, say one true sentence where you usually go silent. I did that work, I'm not available for that request. That joke lands as disrespect. It may shake your voice, say it anyway. Then decline one role that keeps you small. The fixer at every family crisis, the extra worker who absorbs the mess, the partner who makes themselves the smaller one to keep the peace. Declining is not cruelty. It is honesty about your size. Expect pushback from your habits, from others' expectations, from the echo of old rules. Let the discomfort burn cleanly. On the other side, your spine remembers its shape. Relate to Anima and Animus with care. If you idealize, slow down. Keep your pace. When someone glows with the qualities you buried, ask, can I cultivate this inside me instead of grabbing it from them? Give attraction 90 slow days before making promises your soul can't keep. If you dominate, listen twice as long as you speak. Put your insight at the end, not the beginning. Practice asking one open question you do not already know the answer to. If you collapse, take one act of initiative daily. Pick the restaurant, make the appointment, say I want this. Let inner feminine guide warmth without dissolving, and inner masculine provide structure without hardening. Balance tastes like steadiness, not blandness, steadiness. Do not walk this road alone. Community is a container that keeps the work from 2 dangers: isolation and inflation. Isolation turns symbols into obsessions. Inflation turns them into crowns. Find a therapist, a dream group, a class, or a trusted friend who respects Psyche's language. Share a dream and let someone reflect patterns you can't see. Trade accountability, one small act this week that matches your symbol. Guard the space from spectacle. This work is not for performance. It is for coherence. Bring humor, bring patience, bring mercy for the parts of you that learned fear for good reasons. By now, you have a rhythm. Night gives you images. Morning gives you pages. Day gives you small acts that rhyme with meaning. Evening gives you review. Where did I honor the sign? Where did I hide? Praise the one place you moved even a hair toward truth. Forgive the rest. Repeat. Over weeks, the shadow stops lurking and starts collaborating. It brings voltage to your voice, depth to your yes, spine to your no. Synchronicities don't vanish. They gather around your new path like steady lanterns, not flashing alarms. You are not conquering the shadow. You are learning to live with it, like a strong river beside your house, sometimes quiet, sometimes wild, always part of your land. Relate, integrate, act. Every day, one true step. In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. You have spent months hunting signs like a detective with a wall of red string. Every number felt like a code. Every lyric, a verdict. The chase gave you a jolt, but it also made you brittle. Today you practice hospitality instead. You open the door without interrogation. When a sign arrives, you let it sit at your table like a guest, not a judge. You pour tea. You ask, what are you pointing toward in me? If nothing comes, you don't force it. Meaning doesn't grow under a spotlight, it grows in warmth. You stop gambling with coincidence. No bargains, no ultimatums, no if I see 3 feathers, then I'll quit my job. You receive what comes and keep walking. The fear that you'll miss your destiny loosens because you understand destiny does not require panic to be found. The point is not to control mystery, but to cooperate with it quietly and consistently. This cooperation gathers around a center. You can feel. When you are aligned, compulsion relaxes. The urge to check, to chase, to perform softens like a fist unclenching. Your breath drops lower. Your shoulders fall. Yes and no become simple again. 2 clean notes instead of an orchestra of excuses. You say yes where your chest warms, where your feet feel heavy in a good way, where time moves like a river you can swim. You say no where your body goes cold, where your jaw tightens, where you start narrating your value instead of living it. Boundaries stop sounding like doors slammed in anger. They sound like gates that swing on oiled hinges. Kind, clear, and steady, you do not need to defend them with essays. You embody them with posture. People may not applaud this change. Some will test it. That is nature's way of checking the welds. But the center holds because it is not built of borrowed approval. It is built of contact with the self, the quiet axis around which your real life turns. Live this as a daily cadence, not a heroic sprint. In the morning check-in, before the screen finds your eyes, give the dream or symbol 5 honest minutes. Write 3 lines, what you saw, what you felt, what it might be asking. If you remember nothing, that is also material. Write the texture of the nothing, foggy, tense, calm, restless. Ask, where does this live in me today? Then choose 1 honest act that matches the answer, not 10. 1. Send the email, you fear but respect. Drink water and make the phone call, you've postponed. Step outside and let sun touch your face, because your body, not just your mind, needs to know you are choosing life. Carry this rhythm through the day, with small pauses. Doorways are good places to breathe. Before you step into a meeting, touch the doorknob and remember your center. Before you reply to a message that stings, put the phone down and feel your feet. If a coincidence taps your shoulder, a name, a lyric, a number, ask the gentlest question. If this were meaningful, what would be the next right inch? Then take that inch, even if it is only a sentence or a sip of patience, let the rest be unfigured. The self knows the pace. In the evening, review without prosecution. Name 1 place you cooperated with meaning, and 1 place you chased control. Offer thanks for the lanterns that showed up. An unexpected kindness, a line in a book, a moment of relief that arrived for no reason. Gratitude is not performance. It is a way of telling your nervous system what to repeat. Close the day by releasing the hunt. You can say, whatever I missed today can find me tomorrow. Then sleep like someone who trusts their life to speak again. Peace does not mean you will never be shaken. It means when the wind rises, you know where the center is. You welcome what arrives, decline what does not belong, and move 1 true step at a time. You are not chasing signs through a maze anymore. You are letting meaning take a seat, and you are living from a place that doesn't need proof. I choose cooperation over control, 1 quiet step at a time.